Oh, Adam, what a week it's been. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. I had it was a week. There was definitely some interleague drama going on for a couple of days. Um, I initiated a trade with a certain Drew in our league, and um, I literally I did it just I just did it to have something to talk about on the show. It was just content, really. I didn't know what I was doing. We didn't look at when it was going to post. But Drew got all pissy and said, "Oh, hey, I can't get Matt Stafford tonight. It's the day before." And so then we had to stir up shit.
Well, I'm surprised, Adam, that you would even consider making a deal with him after his cronies have basically been purposely injuring players in are directly impacting the outcome of his games. I don't know
My
why you'd
my
make that
players.
out.
And I'm actually, you know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to get some insider information. I'm a mole now. He's not going to suspect me now because I've done this deal with him. He thinks I'm on his good side, and so I'm gathering evidence, and we'll just I don't tell him.
Well,
Nobody tell Drew.
I need you to continue to collect that evidence on behalf of the league. We trust you to we trust you to find an appropriate outcome for injury gate.
Yep.
Almost as bad as auto draft gate. But on top of all of that, we have a very, very special guest tonight.
Mm.
One of my oldest friends, someone who has been in this league a couple of years now, having a bit of a challenging season. And I've spoken a few negative words about him, so I give him a lot of credit for coming on the show today.
He
But
was reluctant. He was reluctant to come on, from what I
he was reluctant.
understand.
I had to beg him for a couple of weeks. I had to beg him for a couple of weeks.
I mean, he was doing
But
other podcasts, football podcasts, so I get it. We're not top of the
well,
food
we
chain here
well
for you,
this
but
person is a brilliant football mind. He's probably, I would call him like the Adam Schefter of Punxsutawney.
well,
For those of you who haven't guessed who is our guest this week, it's the president, general manager, owner, aficionado, classy man, Mr. Trevin Shirey of Illegal Touching. Trevin, how are you?
Thank you, boys, for
hey,
the introduction. Yeah, it's been tough. We're trying to keep our media appearances to the whatever we're minimally contracted to do as per league regulations. Trying to get in the lab, get things turned around this year. It's been rough.
Well, we're glad to have you back. I know you made an appearance pretty early on last year. But before further ado, I'm gonna ask Adam to hit the music. But before we do that, let's do our quick little intro, and then we'll get into week 5. So what do you boys say we take it behind
behind
The
the tool
bloodshed.
shed.
the music?
The tool shed, my dreams are to die. Your team's a dumpster fire. Don't even try. You want my hose for a kicker? You're out of your mind. Bring off, buddy. You're wasting my time. Bring off, bring off. Take your trade and go. You're the king of bad offers. Thought you should know. Bring off, bring off. Don't come back again. In the tool shed, we're all tools, my friend.
I
So
love it.
Trev, talk to us about your team. How are you feeling this year? Little challenging first 5 weeks of the season, opening up at 1-4. But I know after your big win a couple of weeks ago, you were feeling a little more confident. How are things looking in your shop this week?
Not great. I'd say
Not
everything's
great,
on the
Cotton.
table right now. Everything's on the table. We gotta reevaluate how we're doing things at illegal touching. I would say, to sum it up, was very pumped up about a waiver pickup we had heading into last week's game. We picked up Amari DiMarcado from the Cardinals.
Oh
I had the
yeah,
game on.
yep. Taking
Saw him rip off.
command of the control of the Cardinals after Connor goes down. Good pickup, right?
That's right. So we drafted James Conner. We also drafted Trey Benson. James Conner's out for the year. Feeling good. We had Benson. I rejected some good trade offers for him. Then Benson goes on IR, and this whole sequence summarizes my season. So last Sunday, DiMarcado rips off an 80-yard touchdown run heading into the end zone. I feel like we got a
Beautiful.
comeback brewing.
It
Then
was
he
exciting.
gets to about the 1-inch line and decides to drop the ball. I get -2 points for the fumble, and then he's benched the rest of the game.
He says, don't need this, and he didn't need that touchdown.
Yeah, he
Neither
did
did
not.
you, I guess, right?
It's
Neither did
baffling.
I. Neither did I, because the commissioner put up about 200 points, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. But
It
yeah,
is.
that sums up my year so far.
It's
That
baffling
was a
to
tough
me,
one.
Trev, that in the year 2025, there's people that are still prematurely celebrating.
That's right. That's right.
Unbelievable. I mean,
And
if
I don't
people would
know.
act like they've been there before, that would have been completely a non-issue.
Yeah, don't they have a pill for that premature celebration?
Yeah, well, what I was also gonna say is, I don't know if you've listened to last week or not and accepted my bet to whoever lost our matchup to change their team name, but I think you kind of picked it out for me that that your new team name's gonna be Premature Celebrator with a picture of a blue pill.
Oh man, there we go. Drop the
That's
hammer
fitting.
on that one. It has to.
Fitting as I'm going up against Gage this week. As somebody who knows quite a bit about that.
Yeah, just for a pause, yes, hashtag Gage for 20% off blue pills. Hashtag Gage for 20% off blue pills. I do have one question about your team, Trevin, and I'm curious of your thought process here. What's the leash like on Travis Hunter?
It's short, but I don't know that we got a lot of other options right now. The injuries have been killing us. We lost Connor, like we said, out for the year. George Kittle, I think, scored like 20 points in the first half of the year, or the first game, and then he's been out since then. I don't know. We'll see what we can cook up. I think I do have a couple pending transactions out there. A couple generous trade offers. We'll investigate waiver claims. But yeah, Hunter's been tough. Big disappointment. Seeing some of the value that the top teams in the league got. Around whenever he was drafted. I feel like the way this year's gone, the week that we don't play him, it'll be his big breakout game. So I'm trying to be patient. I feel like the rookies get a little extra rope. But yeah, we don't have a lot of other options. The bullpen's looking pretty empty here.
Yeah, that's a challenge, the 14-team league, especially when it comes to finding those running backs, and then those flex players. But Travis Hunter showed some flashes last night, so hopefully he's maybe primed here to break out as we approach the second half of the season. But just to kind of look at our matchup, I didn't want to steal the thunder off the top, but I was telling you guys at the beginning, yes, another win, another second highest scoring week for Brian Exotic, but I'll tell you what, boys, I'm feeling the pressure. I'm feeling the pressure from Adam Petrin, from Drew, even from Tony, who went off this week, who I play in week 6. I am ecstatic to be 5-0. Trevin, it was a rough week for you, but the pressure's mounting here. The pressure's mounting here, and we're getting into bye weeks and those kind of things, and I'm a little nervous. So we're gonna see where things go, but I'm happy where I'm at right now.
I think you got to just watch out. You're not scoring too much on these low winning teams. You got to save these points for like when you really need them. Is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I had to play a third string quarterback this week, so I mean, nothing, it wasn't a horrible week based on who I had in the lineup. I had a running back go down at the end of the week too. So we were dealt with a couple injuries, but the team was resilient. Some people stepped up. Laporta stepped up. He's been on the trade block for a couple of weeks. He really showed that he wants to be a part of this organization. And we had to make a 1 week signing in Trevor Lawrence, and he stepped up to the plate last night, and was certainly a
Certainly
part
did.
of the reason that we beat illegal touching.
I think it was a Trevor Lawrence revenge game as we had drafted him. He started week 1 for us, only put up 14 points. It wasn't long for the roster for us. But yeah, I think his best game of the year, of course, came against us. But it's tough. I feel like facing Brian Exotic right now in the commish. It's like facing an avalanche. Like his team just keeps scoring. I think everybody in his team scored. There was a few moments on Sunday where I thought I had like a puncher's chance. But then, yeah, it's like Michael Pittman would score, Laporta would score, Garrett Wilson would score. Yeah, it's like I'm fighting tooth and nail to get my guys to 10 points. And, you're getting close to 20 just across the board, at least from everybody, even your role players. So, yeah, it's tough. I felt very outclassed.
Well, I still think you're a class act, Trev. Like I said, no hard feelings. And obviously, no matter the record, I'm always open to a trade discussion. So just keep that in mind.
I appreciate that. I looked around this week. I was like, I'm one loss away from like, how do I offload some of my studs for futures? I'm going to need some first round draft picks the next couple years. See if we can reload. But I don't think that's an option. So we're going to scratch and claw. Who was it last year? I think it was Craig changed his team name with a
He did.
handful of weeks to go. I do
It,
think there's precedent out there. You can rip off like 4 or 5 wins in a row. So yeah, that's what we gotta try to duplicate here.
it's time for a drastic change, and the only change that you seem to be able to make right now is your team name. So I expect to see big things from you if you do consider changing to premature ejaculation. No, well, nope, not that one, not that one. Premature celebration. Sorry, I was thinking of what Gage should change his name to. So
That
my bad,
makes sense.
my
That
bad,
makes
my
more
bad.
sense. Adam, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the name of your team now. I know you recently underwent a team name change too.
Yes,
You did
yeah.
take out Mr. Feeney's Big Weenie, who should probably also change his name to Mr. Feeney's Tiny Weenie. But
Well,
you're
Mr.
3-2.
Feeney's Mr. Feeney's big weenie got he just got showered in loss by ET's egg bukkake party. So I'll tell you if you don't understand the name, should I explain the name or where it
If you
came
feel
from
like
at
it.
least? We don't have to
Please.
get into full
Yeah,
on
humor
detail,
us.
but um I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but I happened to make a trade that needed vetoed at first, which everyone appreciatively, the majority at least of people vetoed for us. I do know of one person that said that they were not going to uh, veto it, but that's all right. We'll talk about him later. But after that got vetoed, Drew and I figured out a new plan for our trade, one that would go through, and that just happened to be me trading away my first round pick of Jameer Gibbs in return for ETN and Egbuka. And I did happen to meet with Jim over the weekend, who was the one who was not too happy about this trade. He said, "Why the hell would you do that?" And I said to Jim, I said, "Listen, I needed to be competitive. I needed to have. I just lost, Hill to the rest of the year, and I had zero wide receivers left at all that were good. Nobody. I didn't have anybody good. So figured, hey, really the only good trading fodder that I had was my number one pick, Gibbs. So I did get two good picks for one. For one, it's a 2-for-1 deal for me, and right now I'm sitting at one of those players. Egbuka happened to get me through 2.3 points, and it was amazing. So I figured, hey, why not change my name to something that really encapsulates this trade? ETN, I like to call him ET, and Egbuka, if you just add an extra syllable to the end of that name, it changes the whole premise completely. So I figured ET's Egg Bukake Party would be fitting, and it paid off. It paid off for me, at least. I'll take it.
Yeah, Craig is now 14th in the league. His team stinks. He might
Just say
he
it,
might.
man. It stinks.
Craig's team stinks. It's
Yeah.
bad. He's in a rough place. I don't know what's going on with him. He's usually super competitive. I don't know if he's losing focus or what it is, but he's having a rough year.
And with our matchup, I wouldn't say I was overly competitive because I would have lost to a lot of other people in the league had I played
Doesn't
anyone
matter. You
else.
got to win in the win column.
I'll take the win in the win column, exactly. I'm glad that initial trade didn't go through because I still have Matt Stafford on my team now, who is he's gone off, and I think I might be rolling with him. I think I might be rolling with Stafford. We'll see. But I ended up picking up a pretty good waiver wire wide receiver, Kendrick Bourne. Since San Francisco was out all of their wide receivers, Pearsall was out, Jennings is out, and I think there was a third guy. It was basically left to these unknowns, and Kendrick Bourne is actually a veteran in the league. He came and he went off. He went off 25.2 points for me, so that really helped me out.
Yeah, and Craig just looked brutal. Godwin was awful. Jerry Jeudy was awful. Rams defense lost 2 points. They were bad. So good win for you, Adam.
Yeah, I'm happy. Still in the market for some more trades, though. I can still see some things. I might be willing to move a certain QB or two. We'll see for the right price. For the right price.
The right price. Everything's Bible. Everything's for sale for the right price. Trev, I'm looking at some of the other matchups this week. Let's just kind of go through the. I don't know if you have the scores up or not, but let's kind of go through the rest of the league. I'm looking right now at the Lone Rangers versus Team Auto Draft. Team
Yep.
Auto Draft with a big win over JJ with a big win over Sean. Trev, what intrigued you about this one?
Yeah, the auto draft. I don't respect it. I don't think you can respect it, but it can pay off sometimes. I thought the QB battle was one there that was interesting. Where Mahomes, took Kyler to the woodshed points wise. But yeah, the depth I thought was a big strength for JJ. Looking through everything. Helps too. He had Kelsey, who had a big game. So it's like anytime Mahomes is throwing to Kelsey, he's gaining points on him there. And then, not sure what happened here with Brock Bowers.
Yeah, I actually am. I'm actually raising some questions to Sean. I think we all knew well before the game, before the Raiders game, that Brock Bowers was going to be out, and Sean never made a lineup change.
Yeah, I've seen. I don't think he practiced Thursday or Friday. So I don't know. I think he was flexible.
I was going to say in defense, he does not have another tight end at the moment. I don't think he wanted to drop anybody just to pick up, a different tight end. That probably
what I'm looking at, and didn't Amari and Hampton go on the IR?
I think so.
Yeah, he got hurt this week.
So I'm curious if I'm curious, and we'll know a little more in a couple of days. But I'm curious if Sean's going to be making some moves, and if I don't see him put Hampton on the bench, I'll know that there's some teams going left unchecked, is what I'll
Yeah.
say. And I know he has
Interesting.
size, but
JJ's auto draft superstars here. Also of note, he had Rico Dowdle on the bench, who put up 34 points. So impressive to score 152 with some big numbers on the bench as well. Yeah,
yeah,
his team's pretty good. Some like you said, Blau. I think it's tough in a big league to have a deep bench. But yeah, I see his. He's got Devontae Smith on his bench, 20 points. Josh Downs, 11 points. Dowdle, 34 points. I mean, if you're winning by a lot and you got some double digit points of flex positions on your bench, I think that bodes well for the rest of the year.
yeah. And I mean, big week all around for Travis Kelce, literally. Got some props about his lower body parts from his fiance with the album release on Friday, and had a rather decent game. In a tough loss Monday night. So yeah, good things all around for T Kelsey.
What's your score on the album? 0 to 10.
I've gone through it like twice. I'm working on my third go round. I think I'm about at an 8 out of 10 right now.
Listen, we need to have Petron on here because I mean he's Taylor gang. That's
Yeah,
There
that's
you go.
you know
we need to quiz him on his Taylor Swift knowledge.
exactly. He yeah.
But the next one, we got your crosstown rival, Trev. Actually, two of
Yeah,
your
yeah.
rivals, your crosstown work colleague rival, and someone that has named their team after you. Billy top, Trev and bottom, with Gage taking out Xander, and what was a very close, I think the closest matchup of the week.
Yeah, it was. That was.
Yeah, two of my rivals fired up for the matchup against Gage this week, so we were watching that one closely. Yeah, I think Xander's boys in purple down there in Baltimore screwed him this week. I felt like his team did pretty well overall, but that what sticks out, Justice Hill, 2 points. Uh, yeah, I mean the Ravens just imploded.
Well,
Yeah.
the Ravens
You
stink.
you would think, even looking at the score, like if they were down big pretty early, that to me screams like Justice Hill game. Like that's usually when like Henry doesn't play a lot. They're running all those quick passes to
We had like
Hill and the
32 points
receivers.
last week.
Yeah, that's got to be tough for him. I try to stay away from the Steelers because I feel like it stings even more if you get burned by somebody on your favorite team.
Mhm.
So yeah, I feel for him
We
there.
we share a similar philosophy, Trev. I refuse to draft Steeler players because I want to still
Yeah,
enjoy the game.
I
Yep.
respect that. That's a touch of class from you.
So I still like the integrity of my black and gold. But a nice win for Gage. What do you think,
Yeah,
Adam?
I think Gage came away lucky with this win because both side had some slightly underperforming players. On Gage's side, Kamara just hasn't been there as much as he had been in previous years. He's had two busts this year so far where they don't make it over 10 points. So he's lucky he's coming away with the win there. AJ Brown, he's had a terrible year, continuing to not look so good compared to last year. He's lucky. I'm just saying he should be hoping for better out of his players, and who knows if this is eventually going to come around and sting him in the butt.
Yeah, I wonder if there's, I know Gage won this week, but I wonder if there's issues in the locker room over there at Billy Top, Trev, and Bottom. He does have some big names that are just underperforming incredibly. I wonder if it's a motivation thing from
Um,
from the front office on down. We'll see where things land in the coming weeks.
I would hope maybe Alvin Kamara and AJ Brown, would use code Gauge at BlueChew.com to really boost their performance for the next
Yeah,
coming.
use code Gauge for 20% off Blue Chews.
Yeah,
Hashtag code Gauge. But the other one I'm looking at, we had a big Duquesne rivalry. This week. Taylor Gang versus Aubrey Plaza's Vespa. Another low scoring performance from Anthony. Team Taylor Gang sitting, as one of the top folks in the league at 4-1, with a big album release week, like you talked
this
about
is a big
earlier.
week. It was.
So good, another big win from Adam. Adam P.
It was tough because Anthony was dealing with a bye week out of Tucker Craft, and he didn't have really anybody to put in, and anyone really to drop that he would want to drop at least to get a new tight end off the waiver. But then also Bucky Irving was also hurt, and I think he was hurt before going into it as well. But again, I think we touched on this last week. We said maybe he's just going to have to take the L no matter what on this, so he doesn't have to give up anybody that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't. You shouldn't carry two defenses. I would question that call. He has both the
Mhm.
Cardinals and the Packers defense. He could have dropped one of them for a backup tight end. Um,
Yeah, Packers currently at 24th in their ranking. They haven't really done anything worth keeping. So that's a good point. It's a good point.
but kudos to Petrin. Big performance from him. McCafferty looked great again. Bo Nix coming around. Trey McBride looked pretty good. James Cook always shows flashes. So good week for Adam all around. So he's 4-1. I think sitting third now in the power rankings. So he's been scary the last few years. The other team that's making me a little nervous here is, and this is a complete contradiction to what his name is the ultimate stinker, beating
I,
Saquon D's nuts. So two of your favorite teams, Adam, and
yeah. Hey,
have
listen.
one of your closest confidants in Saquon these nuts, who's also having a rather challenging season so far.
I feel like if he wouldn't have drafted Saquon Barkley out of order, things would have been completely different for him. I'm just saying, would have been different. But I do appreciate that Tony must have listened to the podcast, must have heard him becoming the that week's uh, stinky team, uh, Dan Blau's team of stink,
Stinky team of the week.
stinky team of the week. So he look what he did. He changed his name and instantly pumped up those numbers to the highest scoring team of the week.
So Trev, there's your proof.
Yeah, yeah. We'll put it to our board of directors here. Tough one for Billy. I feel like if you score over like 140, even in the 130s, and you
Yeah,
lose, I feel like that's a tough week.
it
Uh,
is. I had high hopes
Tony,
for him. I was pulling for him, but even though he took Saquon Barkley out of his team, so but
I
anyway,
think Tony's roster is interesting because you look at his receivers, his top two guys. He's got Jordan Addison and he's got Jamar Chase. They feasted last week, did really well, especially Chase. Long term, I'd be a little worried just because of the quarterback situations there. We got Flacco coming in, to try to save the day for the Bengals. I
yep.
feel like he could do. He likes to chuck the ball down the field. He always has. Worry about him staying healthy with the line there, but I think it's going to be very boom or bust for both of those players week to week. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. The Bengals offense, who the heck knows, week to
Yeah.
week. So yeah, I suspect Tony. It's probably not going to be the last time he scores, over 150. But he might have some weeks where he gets very little out of those receivers as well. Yeah, I think that's where a team like yours, Dan, could come through, and you guys are just hitting doubles and singles across the board. and that could be enough to get the win against a team that's not able to stay consistent.
Yeah, very, very feast or famine for Tony's team. I like your analysis there, Trev, and let's see what happens with Flacco into the mix. I guess he just has to go play backup for the Steelers next year just to do his rounds around the AFC North. Um, but the matchup that we called is the matchup of the week last week. The joy of
Yeah.
King versus Wade Bogstyle. Jimmy was 4-0. Wade Bogstyle has been dealing with a lot of controversy over the last 2 weeks, especially with injury gate and those kind of things. But Wade Bogstyle took down a juggernaut in Jimmy. He was the only other undefeated team in the league at the start of last week, and he had a rough one, and Drew took advantage of it.
He certainly did. He's rolling. Jim's rolling with Derrick Henry, who is having a rough start to this year, and everyone knows it. But Chase Brown's doing okay. Maybe he'll get a slight bump with Joe Flacco out there. Debo Samuel coming away with that touchdown at the last second for Washington was pretty cool. Good to see Debo getting some love. But he's been pretty well this year. But Jim, he could have used more out of Quentin Johnston and T.J. Hawkinson
And Marvin Harrison Jr.
and
Well, he
Marvin.
had the
Yeah.
points. He had the points on his bench. Waddle got 25 on his bench. Rashid Shaheed had that huge touchdown catch.
Yep.
He had 25 on his bench. So yeah, I don't know. That would have pushed him across for the win. He still had a pretty big gap to make up, but yeah, I think two really good teams. We're going to be hearing a lot from both of them throughout the year. Got to give props to Drew. I think he had drafted JJ McCarthy. He's on IR for him now. The Jackson Dart pickup was pretty smart.
Huge.
Legal touching was hot after him. We put in a waiver claim, but I think Drew was up first that week. Yeah, smart move. I think that's like the base of his team has been solid and performed well. And then if you can make a couple good pickups like that, he was able to pick up the big win here and keep the win streak going.
Yeah. Do you think Jim should supplant Waddle in for Johnston rest of the year now? He has one good game with Hill gone.
He's the number one now.
He is, and he had some good games even with Hill there. So that might be something for Jim to think about.
Yeah. I feel like Waddle is going to give you more of those big, like 25-point outings. Johnston's probably a little bit more consistent. I feel like the Chargers offense is a little bit more with it. At least mediocre. The Dolphins, who knows? It's like, again, feast or famine with them. So yeah, maybe it depends on how he matches up. How he feels about the rest of his lineup.
If you believe in the double dip or not, because he's going both Herbert and Johnston, both on the LA Chargers. So I mean, they're pretty locked in for their production together. So I mean, if you're a believer in that type of double dip, then so be it. But I kind of like Waddle.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe not. I think I should have looked at this a little deeper. Maybe he should take Marvin Harrison out and put Waddle in.
Trev, I feel like Marvin Harrison's your boy. I know you traded him to me last year.
Yeah, we were running the stack last year. Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison. Didn't work out. I think either of them had like great seasons last year. So yeah, I've been there. It can be frustrating, when you're running a big stack like that. I also had Trey McBride. I was all in on their offense last year with the Cardinals, and yeah, it basically came down to them. If they scored more than like 25 points, we won every week. If they didn't, we had no chance. So yeah, maybe trades, that could be something too. I feel like there's a big logjam at receiver there. It doesn't make sense probably to carry all those receivers for the whole year.
I was wondering if you guys could grade my trade with Drew now, because I'm looking at what
F minus.
let me just throw this out there. I traded Jameer Gibbs, who, looking at how he did for Drew, 16.7 points, for Egbuka, who got 33 some points, and ETN, who didn't really go too crazy this game. He still got me 8 points. So, two players getting over 40 points versus one player getting 16. What would you say my grade score on that for
I
me
mean,
would
it's
be?
still it's like the law of averages. You have 32 points with how many players? Two, and he
Mm-hmm.
has 16 with one. I mean, that's basically the same.
Yeah. Nope.
So
I give myself an A
I'm
plus on
always
that.
reluctant to trade a first round draft pick. I hope it works out for you. I can't say his name, but he's a rookie, so he's going to be boom or bust.
He's
And
been boom this
ETN,
whole
he's been on my
time.
team a couple of years. He's been frustrating as all hell, but I think he's
Yeah, that
actually
was.
I think he's like first or second rushing in the league this year, which is very odd.
Yeah, I would
He's
say it was that was the iffy part, but I had to do something to get a worthy wide receiver, and I feel like Egbuka is going to be the guy.
Well,
I
I
like it. I'd give you like a B plus. I thought that maybe it's controversial, not the popular opinion. I thought that you got the slightly better end of the deal there. I like it. I mean, I think Gibbs was the best player in the trade.
Yeah,
But ETN has been much better this year. I think Ibuka is like the third ranked receiver right now,
he
and that
currently is.
offense has been ridiculous. Um, and yeah, I don't. Goddard doesn't really do a whole lot for me. That I don't. Not a
Yeah,
fan of the Eagles' pass offense. If you feel like
no.
you got another option at tight end, I feel like you got really good value at a couple core positions there.
yeah.
Yeah, spicy trade. I tried to stay out of the fray a little bit with the veto thing. I was not often you see some names like that getting moved this early in the year.
It was a big name trade. It was a big name trade. And that's what I do. That's what I do. Shake
Well,
things up.
why don't we look at the superlatives for the week? Then we'll do a little quick analysis on week 6. But
I think that's a
I
good
think
idea.
this first one here, Trev, can you see these in the chat?
Yeah, I'll find him.
In the
Yeah. So
podcast one.
the first one, Adam, if you want me, I can read it if you want the close call. Um, Mike
Yeah.
Tirico versus Billy Top, Trev and Bottom. It wasn't a ton, but Billy Top, Trev and Bottom eked out a 4.15 point victory against Mike Tirico. It would have been nice if the Chargers defense would have put up more than 3 points. But sweat builds character, and a win is a win, as we always say. Now watch the tape and see what you can do better next time to make things a little less stressful for yourself. Ask CJ Stroud to give the team a pep talk. They carried the team this week, and I'm sure they won't mind leading them next week. So good win for Gage, eking out that 4.15 point victory against Xander.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's all you have
Okay.
to say.
Hey. I will say that I'm looking at I'm trying to find here. Where did I post this? Oh, you see, I was all over the place on the wrong spot, so that's why you started reading. I'm not reading the same thing.
You're reading last week's.
I was reading last week's because
Yeah, you posted them. I think you posted them in the wrong chat.
I supposed to. Okay, we're good.
So
You were
Trev, if you
right, man.
can't find them, I think they're in the general chat.
They're
I
in the
got him. I
general
got him.
chat. Son of a bitch.
But if you look at the top scoring players, it's dominated by quarterbacks. Darnold, Prescott, Stroud, Stafford, Mayfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you
Let
what.
me let
I
me say
did.
this. Let me say
Yeah.
this. You look at these top five. I think this is why like the classic fantasy advice is like wait to draft your quarterback
Right.
because
Yeah.
we're none of these were top picks.
Um.
So yeah, you can get Sam Darnold. I don't even know if he was drafted. If he was, it was probably a late pick. Same thing with Stroud. So yeah, always throws a wrench into things when some of those guys are the top performers. The Darnold, I feel like had a lot of weeks like this last year too.
I
So
agree with
Yeah.
your
maybe
strategy, Trev. I'm a big fan of drafting a quarterback late. I think you got to stack your skill players, especially those running backs at the top of the draft with the 14 team league. And I think the talent, the quarterback talent in the NFL is so spread around these days that you can pick up a Stroud or a Stafford or a Mayfield in those later rounds and be just as well off as you would with taking a Mahomes or a Josh Allen or someone a little earlier. Like, we gave Tony a lot of guff earlier this year for taking a quarterback in the second round, and it's paid off for him a little bit. But I think these guys you could take flyers on, or what are going to lead the teams into the playoffs.
Yeah, if
Good
you can
point.
get elite quarterback, if you find like Mayfield this year is tearing it up, if he keeps that pace up and he's like a mid to late round pick, I mean that really helps. Yeah, I go back and forth on it. I traditionally take one pretty late. We locked in on Justin Fields this year, but then the injury. I think one week we started him, he scored like 4 points. So we may be reevaluating that at the end of the year, but I think weeks like this are good evidence that that strategy can work.
Agree, hundred
Yeah.
percent.
Hey, you guys, I actually did some research before tonight's episode because I saw the top scoring players were all quarterbacks. So I was like, we need to get some non-quarterback position uh top scorers here. So I actually got the 5 top scorers that were not quarterbacks. So leading off, some guy that I traded for, I don't know, I mean, Dan can't even say his name, but it happens to be Egbuka with 32.3 points. It's the top scoring player other than a quarterback. Then came Jonathan Taylor, with 31.6 points. Then came Jamar Chase out of the blue. Everyone thought he was going to produce as much at this point without Joe Burrow. He came in with 33 points. Then you had Kyron Williams with 31.1, and the fifth highest non-quarterback point total was Jackson Smith and Jigba with 28.2.
And I presume you're just looking at people that weren't benched because
Yeah,
when you look at the most valuable bench warmers, Dowdle's on there at 34.4. I probably can't pronounce his name right.
I didn't do as much research as I probably should have.
I'm not calling you out. I'm just making sure that you were looking at only active players because
Yes, that's what
when
I
you
was
look at
doing.
the most valuable bench warmers, you got Stafford, Dowdle, and Goff, 2 quarterbacks, 1 running back.
Yeah,
I don't think that impacted much.
I
You
still
know,
won. I had Stafford. I still
you
won
still
with
won, JJ still won, and Tony still won. So nothing to be upset about,
yeah.
certainly, and no questionable decisions, I guess, because a win's a win, like we said. But um, a lot of points left on the bench this week. I know we talked about in some of the other matchups already.
Well, false starters on the other hand, I think there was one on there at least that kind of hurt their player. But you have James Cook being the number one false starter for Petrin there. Petrin still had a pretty easy game without James Cook performing as well as he should have. He was down 14 points of what he should have gotten projected. Uh, Jimmy, on the other hand, going with Herbert, who underperformed, is down by 11 points of what he should have projected at, and that hurt him. That did hurt him. So
What do
he
you
lost.
guys what do you guys think about Justin Herbert? He was on my short list for quarterbacks this year. I
Mm-hmm.
thought he was going to have and I thought and there's still a chance, I guess.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to have a monster year for some reason.
I like him. He's got some good weapons around him. It was just, I mean, maybe this is just a bad game for him. People are still saying that they're a pretty damn good team. So I don't blame Jim for playing him, but it hurt him this week.
Trev, what are your quarterback scouts telling you about Herbert?
I feel like he always leaves you wanting a little more. You know, I think he looks the part. He's got the talent. Yeah, I don't know. I worry with their offense. I feel like Harbaugh wants to run the ball. He's fine, like feasting running backs with touchdowns. Versus trying to run up a ton of passing stats. Harbaugh's very old school. He's very much like just win the game. He's not concerned with style points. But yeah, I think they got off to a great start the first couple of weeks of the year, and then it's been more of the usual. I feel like Herbert just kind of is who he is. He's probably like slightly above average. He's kind of in like the same bucket as, I don't know. He's like a slightly better Trevor Lawrence or something for me.
Yeah, always left one a
Is
little
he as
more.
good as Philip Rivers was for out there?
No, I'd say no.
You
He should
no
be on
Super Bowl
Gage's
still.
team for leaving people wanting a little more. Is what all I'll say about that.
Aha.
So, but
No Gage, a blue chew.
I guess Adam, we're gonna give you some more props on the game changer, Mecca Egbuka. If I even said that right, I
You
probably
did it.
butchered it like Gronk did. You
Yeah,
know what, Adam? Good things come to those who wait. ET's Egbuka party waited. This is the
Thank
worst.
you.
Waited for Mecca Egbuka to reach their potential, and that fantasy became a reality last week as they scored 17.85 points above their projection, resulting in 32.3 points. Mr. Feeney's small weenie's dream of a win didn't come to fruition, so Craig will have to dream a little harder next week. That is a play on words for Craig's team. Dreaming a little, Mr. Feeney's big weenie dreaming
A
a little
little
harder.
harder.
I can't believe that was
What
even
kind of a it's a little harder, get a little wet there,
The AI was all over that one.
Good job.
So Trev,
AI.
let's look at this week's matchups since you are our special guest. Give us a rundown of how you're feeling this week. You have a big rivalry again. You have arguably your biggest rivalry against Gage this week. He is a projected winner right now, but there's still some lineup changes to be made. But off the top here, how are you feeling?
Yeah, we feel like we play our best in these big moments. I think we played well against Billy Top, Trev, and Bottom last year. So yeah, I think the boys are excited. We're fired up. We're ready to embrace the challenge ahead. Yeah, I think we'll have some stuff up our sleeve this week. Try to get the lineup optimized. A lot riding on Justin Fields. We do have some of our studs coming back. Drake London is back on Monday night matchup this week. So yeah, we're optimistic. I think it is going to be a tall mountain for the team to climb. Just looking at Gage's lineup. Another interesting factor too. He does have AJ Brown going Thursday this week. Which again, the Eagles passing offense is a big wild card. I think they've been trying to force the ball to Brown a lot to keep him happy, but I think that will help set the tone. If he gets 2 touchdowns or rips off an 80-yard catch, that's going to put us behind the 8 ball heading into the week. But I do think there's a chance, and we're hopeful that maybe he puts up single digits. The passing game struggles again for
Do
the
you
Eagles.
think Philly is actually trying to give Saquon a revenge game against the Giants, and so they're going to just feed him the ball?
They could be. I think I end up watching quite a bit of the Eagles. My wife's an Eagles fan. I cannot stand their coach. My least favorite coach in the entire league. I think they just get bored. They could just run the ball down people's throats, most of the time. But yeah, they got divas at the wide receiver position. Their fan base is horrendous. The fans want to see him throw the ball more, so they try to throw the ball more. Hurts just isn't that great of a passer. I think they're best when they're pounding the rock, and then he's doing some play action off of that, hitting some of the deep shots. So yeah, I actually think we'll see if it plays out. I don't foresee a big night for AJ Brown because I think they're gonna have a get right game here, and they're really gonna focus on the running game against the Giants. But yeah, hopefully that doesn't mean they hit a couple of those big play action chunk plays to Brown.
My my favorite thing you said there was about the terrible fan base in Philly, and the first person I thought of when you said that was Chad T.O. Kaufman, just probably
Mm.
sitting over there at his house, running his mouth continuously, no matter how bad the Eagles look.
There you go. He's probably AJ Brown's biggest fan. He just wants to see him get the ball thrown to him instead of running an effective offense.
Yeah, Adam, who are you feeling this week in Trev versus Gage?
I'm feeling Trev's going to come away with the second win of the year. Um, you and I think you might need to make a trade though for a better quarterback. And I'm just
You're not
saying,
on the Fields bandwagon?
no, nope. I have a lifelong Jets fan at work, and he says Justin Fields isn't the guy either. So I got to defer to him when it comes to anything Jets.
All right,
If
let me counter that. The Justin Fields fantasy points per week. Week 1 against the Steelers, I didn't play him, which was my fault. 33 points. Week 2, 4 points. Total stinker. Hurt week 3. Then the last 2 weeks, 32 and 32.
okay,
So he's over 30 in 3 out of the 4 games he's played. I feel
He's
like
quietly been pretty good.
their team is not doing well, but he's been booming the last few weeks. You know, the rushing yards helps.
it does.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yep.
He gets a ton of points in the second half because they're always down, and so
Yeah,
he's just tossing it all around, which isn't a bad thing for fantasy football.
yeah. If you have him on your team as your starter, he will give you a heart attack because you're absolutely right. He always has like 3 points at halftime, and they're losing by like 20 points. But then I think
That's when it kicks in.
the defense plays soft coverage. He gets some easy completions. He gets some runs on third downs. And you don't want to sit there and like refresh the stats during the game. You just got to look at where they are at the end of the day. I do think he'll have some more stinkers for me, and I'm also worried he might get benched at some point. But I think we're rolling with him. I drafted him. I was kicking myself for not playing him week 1. We went with Trevor Lawrence instead because he had higher projected. Yeah, he's our guy. If we sink, we sink. But we're rolling with him at least for this week.
Okay,
Well, I'll
all right.
say, Trev, I'm taking illegal touching to get their second win of the season this week as well. I'm gonna say about an 80% chance you win. If you change your team name, I'm gonna bump that up to 99%.
It is, yeah. I was actually saying that with the understanding that his name was already going to be changed. So
Yeah. So we'll see how you fare this week. But I like how you ripped those stats off about Justin Fields. I mean, it's that second half. I'll tell you,
he's
Trev,
all
he
in.
he
He's
gave
in.
me some heart palpitations last week. Well, I looked at halftime and I was like, oh, this is easy peasy. He's gonna have a shit week. I was ready to run my mouth about him and all this kind of stuff. And then I look again at the end of the game and he's at what, 32, 33 points. And I'm like,
Yep.
oh crap. So yeah, he's a good fantasy player, especially in the second half. So I'm interested to see this big rivalry. I'm gonna say that this, I know we talked about it first, but I think this is gonna be the matchup of the week. You engage.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's sponsored by who's our game of the week sponsors this year?
Blue
Game
Chew.
of the week sponsor is who is it, Adam?
I thought it was Blue Chew. They might be really only though
Yeah, that's
for
our only sponsor. Code
yeah.
Gauge for 20% off. Code Gauge for 20% off. And
Gage can maybe get some of his
It,
OnlyFans
uh,
models to step in and sponsor.
yeah.
yeah,
Actually, we have a new sponsor coming up. I'm proud to say we do have a new sponsor. It is Vagisil.
and that's for whose matchup?
Vagisil. That's going to be for JJ versus Petrin.
Oh, the team auto draft first team Taylor Swift.
Yeah, because someone's going to need some Vagisil after this.
Very high projected matchups this week for
That's
that.
what I'm saying. This is going to
Taylor
get
Gang's projected to kill Grace Charis auto draft cross pattern.
yeah.
Yeah, if you're up in the 140s and projected, I mean that's tough. That's what scares me for the rest of the year because my team's struggling to get to 110. And yeah, I think Dan, when we played last week, you guys were way up there, like 150 something for projected, and it was already like 65% chance to win. Yeah, so that's impressive. If you're at the starting blocks and you got 140 or something for your projected.
Yeah, so I think this is a pretty easy one for me. I'm picking Petrin to win this one to go 5-1. Yeah, I don't think JJ's team model is sustainable. Although code auto draft for 20% off Vagisil, code auto draft for 20% off
Yes.
Vagisil. But I'm going Petrin this week to go 5-1.
It's going to be tough for JJ to win if Kyler Murray is a no-go for Sunday. They're saying right now he's, we'll see how it goes, kind of week for him. So if it doesn't go so well, I mean, he's got to put in Cam Ward, and he's ranked 32. That's dead last, right?
That is dead last in the NFL,
That is
yes.
dead
For
last,
starting
right?
quarterback, yes.
Exactly. So he might need to make a trade, and someone in this particular um league has two
Conversation.
pretty good quarterbacks. Could be worth a conversation.
Yeah.
Someone might have to reach out to someone here.
Yeah, Trev, who are you taking in the JJ Petrin matchup?
I'm liking JJ here. I don't know. Maybe it's just the photo I'm drawn to. I always respect his team's branding. No,
Yep.
I think he's got some dogs. Jonathan Taylor, Scattaboo, my boy. He would have been a great Punksy Chuck. I feel like grinding out 3-yard
Mhm.
runs, move the chains.
We can
I also think
can we retroactively adopt him as a Punksy Chuck?
I think so. I think
Okay.
so.
All right.
And I see a big game coming again from Stephon Diggs. I feel like that was like a breakout game for their offense last week. Easy matchup against New Orleans. So yeah, I'll take JJ. I'll break from consensus here.
Well, yeah, I appreciate your comment about the branding. He always has had his branding always has been on point. Let's do a quick one here that I'm gonna ultimately class as the stinker of the week.
Stinky
Xander
week.
versus Hetrick, Mike Tirico versus the Lone Rangers. I know they have a couple of lineup changes to make. I know we're questioning Sean's strategy there as well, but I don't know that there's a lot to talk about in this matchup, and so I'll give you a quick one. I'm gonna pick Xander also to get his second win of the year. I think he makes a little comeback this week and takes down Sean, especially if Sean doesn't make those necessary lineup changes.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Blau. Obviously, take Schultz out, put Waller in, and that's going to definitely help Xander out. DeAndre Swift supplanted in for Hampton might help. He's going to probably help Sean a lot. He's going to have to do that. Justin Jefferson, they're on a bye this week, so who can he put in? Matthew Golden, not too shabby. I don't think there's much else out there on the waiver wire that would be much better than Matthew Golden so. But I think I'm still going with Xander on the win for this week. Agreed.
How about you,
I'm
Trev?
taking Sean. Easy choice. I think Xander's in trouble unless Prescott carries. Yeah, Xander's banged up. CD Lamb out, Lamar out, McLaurin's questionable. He still has Najee Harris, who's like destroyed his leg on his roster. So that doesn't inspire a lot of faith. This team's being well managed. I think he's losing focus here.
Yeah, so both, we can see the consequence of two teams losing focus this week. I think it's going to be a very
Yeah.
low scoring
Poor
matchup.
ratings. Poor ratings.
Yeah,
This is
Stinker.
the
this
Peacock
will
game
be
or
like
something.
the C team on CBS for the week. So
Yeah, Mark
it's like
Sanchez will be calling this one.
yeah, Mark's
from
from jail.
He's a different kind of butt fumble in there.
Yeah, definitely. Let's look at Mr. Feeney's Big Weenie versus Joy Panning, 1-4 versus 4-1.
That's a flip flop
I'm
right
not
there.
matchup because Yeah, I'm not even gonna look at the matchup, honestly. I don't think it's even I don't think this matchup's even serious. I know Jimmy still has to make a couple lineup changes, and I think the joy of painting is enjoying football too much this year, and I think he kills Mr. Feeney's big weenie. I think he deflates the big weenie, and I think that Craig is gonna be stuck at 1-5 after this week. Big win for Jimmy.
Yeah, big win. Big win. Agreed. I mean, you pretty much said it all.
Yeah, same. Impressive that Joy Painting's been able to do so well with Henry and Chase Brown not performing up to projections, but I feel like the vibes are good there. He's got a deep bench. Yeah, I think he'll make the right call from a lineup perspective. Have his team ready to go. Easy win.
How about Saquon D's nuts? We'll do that, and Wade Boxall and Adam will do ours. But
Yeah.
another one I don't think is even a challenge this week. I think Wade Boxall cheating allegations, trade allegations, injury allegations aside, is a juggernaut again. He's quickly gone to 4-1 after a slow start, and I don't think there's any chance that Billy takes him down. I'm going Drew.
Well, I'll tell you. Like I said, I've got behind enemy lines with Drew since I did, make that trade with him, and I think he's actually he's looking at Ricky Pearsall with that questionable status at the moment, and he's thinking to himself, how can I make that an IR? But I don't have the evidence yet. I don't have solid evidence yet, so just putting that out there. Watch out.
Yeah, Saquon is questionable, so I think he's got a knee. Tough short turnaround time for the Eagles this week. Yeah, I'd say Drew by quite a bit. Unfortunately, I got to pick against my brother Billy. But yeah, Drew's got a super deep lineup. And the receivers jump off the page. Brian Thomas, or former star receiver George Pickens has been tearing it up. Prescott's slinging it all over the place, and he's got Jackson Smith and Jigba at the flex. Some good depth on the bench. So yeah, I think Drew gets to 5-1. I feel like what we're seeing as we go through these is a lot of separation between the haves and have-nots. A lot of times it's like a grind. Everyone's like around 500, but we're seeing a lot of teams separate this year, and a lot of teams fall behind.
An odd season with the records. I was looking at that. I mean, I don't remember seeing as many teams 1-4, 2-3 as we have in the past, but there's still a long way to go. And kind of segue into that, I was telling you guys at the top of the show that I'm rather anxious about my matchup against the Ultimate Stinkers against Tony. I know there was a lot of talk about boom and bust, feast and famine for Tony. I'm worried that this is kind of a trap game because I actually played Drew in 2 weeks. So I'm worried, I'm gonna have to be in the locker room and make sure my guys this week are absolutely 110% focused on this week's matchup against Tony. Just scored the highest point total for the league in week 4 or in week 5. So it's gonna be a contested matchup. I'm hoping I can come on top with a victory. But I'm really, I'm really going to work hard with the guys this week in the locker room to make sure that they're not looking past this game to a couple of challenging matchups coming up.
I think Tony's got some sneaky players on here. If you think about it, they've three of his players last week had some sneaky booms instead of projected what they were supposed to get. Kyron Williams had a huge game last week. David Montgomery, who was the essentially the number 2 behind Gibbs, was actually the man to have last week with 20 points. And Jamar Chase came away with another huge game as well with 30 points. So if they continue their trajectory and have some more really good games that they weren't expecting to have, you might be in trouble. So I'm going to say, I'm sorry to do this, Blau, but I think Ultimate Stinkers, with the name change and everything, that's that's almost too much for me to go against at this point.
Bulletin board material.
Yeah,
Oh,
ultimate stinkers might make Brian Exotic, Dan Blau, the stinker of the week coming up.
see where it goes. We're gonna use that. We're gonna use it.
Don't want to give motivation to the top team in the league right now, but I think look, I think it's going to be a tight battle. I do like Brian Exotic to get the win. I think it's the deepest roster in the league. Really impressed. I was envious looking at how things were assembled in our matchup last week, but I think it's going to come down to that Josh Allen Monday night game. Blau's going to have to sweat through that. He's going to be up by like 30 points, 35 points.
This is
And then
also
I
if
think
Chuba
Tony's
Hubbard
got Josh
plays.
Allen and Bill's D going.
And and this is also if Chuba Hubbard plays.
Well,
Hubbard.
and don't forget, Chuba Hubbard didn't play last week, and I got 2 touchdowns from my backup. So let's talk about the depth a little more.
He's got a deep bench. Ramondre Stevenson's had some fumble issues, but yeah, capable of putting up a huge game.
Like 10 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, the old Jerome
that's
Bettis
big numbers for him.
But let's look at one of the other matchups of the week, Adam. You and Anthony, the AA matchup, Adam and Anthony.
Yeah.
Very, very small gap in between your projections. He's projected to beat you right now by about, just under 3 points.
Yeah.
You're 3-2, he's 2-3, so this could be a pretty contested matchup, especially for playoff seeding. Not that we're ready to talk about that yet. I know you're dealing with some injuries with your wide receivers.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm actually feeling pretty good. I know I have a leg up over Cooper Kupp. I don't think Anthony's Cooper Kupp is going to get 12 points against Jacksonville. I don't think so. He's gotten over 10 points twice this year and hasn't gotten over 7 the other 3 times. So I think that's where the differential is going to be made up for me. I'm not crazy about Jawan Jennings. I actually hope he doesn't play, so then I could feel better about putting back in Kendrick Bourne, who went off for me last week. I would feel better with that cue there, and if he actually does play, I don't know. I might still put Bourne in just because of how good he was. But Mark Andrews, he's the only tight end I have right now. I know he's a Baltimore guy. Kind of sucks, but that's who I got. That's what I have to roll with. And I'm hoping Kenneth Gainwell. We crapped on Tony when he played Gainwell against me 2 weeks ago. And then he dropped him and I picked him up. And there he was. He did well on the bench for me. But so I'm hoping maybe the Steelers are like, hey, Gainwell did pretty good. Let's let him carry the ball as number 1 this week against Cleveland. We'll see what happens.
Adam, just because I felt disrespected by you, this is purely a pick for spite, out of spite and spite alone. I'm not even going to give any analysis because I'm not sure which way the game's going to go. I think you and Anthony both have strong rosters, but because I feel disrespected by you and you're picking my matchup, I'm going to pick Anthony. I'm going to pick Anthony this week, my Duquesne brethren.
Well, hey, I disrespectfully disagree.
What about you, Trev? Where are you leaning?
Yeah, let's say 4th time's the charm here, and I'm going to go with the roster with the 4th string running back of the Arizona Cardinals, Mr. Michael Carter, and Anthony on this one. And I'm saying that as the gentleman who's owned 3 Arizona Cardinal running backs this year. I think I was trying to figure out once Benson went out. I was like, all right, like where's this Carter guy? Interesting trade that just went through early this morning, where Anthony picked up Michael Carter, and Dallas Goddard in exchange for Drake May with Drew. And I feel like that could pay off well because Carter's kind of set to be the lead back here. It seems like for a few weeks. But yeah, I think two good rosters, lots of depth across the board. I think it'll be like which player throws up like 30 points out of the running backs or receivers. And what the heck? I'll say it'll be Mr. Carter down there. A 3 touchdown game.
There you go. Okay. All right. All
I
right.
like that call.
Uh,
But
uh,
boys, I think it's gonna be another competitive week. Trev, we thank you for joining us. Great analysis, great conversation. Any parting shots for the boys from you before we get out of here?
I gotta say, let me see if I can pull it up here. You mentioned I'm the Adam Schefter of Punksy. I got to drop this into the group chat in Discord. I got to give a shout out to my boys on the Punxsutawney Chucks football team. 6-0. I got sent a screenshot from Max Preps that ranked the top 10 football teams of any classification in Pennsylvania. Punxsutawney Chucks number 10, right behind your boys Blau, Pine Richland, and North Allegheny.
Wait, are you kidding, or is this true?
It's true. I'll send the photograph.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
curious to see
hey.
this.
I do not think that it is accurate, nor will it stay there. But probably a once in a lifetime moment for the Punxsutawney alums to see us listed in the top 10.
I can't wait to see this.
Nice.
So that's my shout out. I'll leave you with that as I'm filing my report as Shefty of the 814 area code.
We love it. Adam, what about you? Any parting shots?
No.
Okay.
No.
All I'm gonna say is, go ahead.
Well said.
I was gonna say I'm looking forward to Drew has been really good with providing some type of video or graphic, so hopefully he comes through again and really helps us keep the general chat fun. How about that?
I have two. I think that you're starting to. I think you're joining the dark side with Drew. I'm sensing some collusion with you and Drew. So I'm gonna keep my eyes on the two of you in the next couple of weeks.
Hey.
But what I'll also say before we get off here is, go Penguins. They're winning 1-0 right now.
Go Pens.
About a little over halfway through the third period, looking half decent. I was hoping to tank for what's his name from Penn State, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
No. Yeah, sorry, it's a little off topic, but who's the goalie? Isn't it like Silvis or something like that?
Yeah. Jar's on the bench tonight.
Jar's on the bench. Oh,
so
here's one other thing I thought was kind of hilarious. Yesterday, my buddy Eddie, who I do another podcast with, sent me a bet that he had made. What do you call that? Like a 9-leg parlay or something like that, where there's like a bunch of different people that. Okay, so he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He had 7 legs, and 6 of them were complete. He needed, with 8 minutes left in last night's game, the Jags, he needed Travis Etienne to get 1 more yard with 8 minutes left in the game.
He didn't get it.
He did not get it.
How much would he have won?
$94.
Oh, I was.
Well, listen.
A little underwhelming there, honestly.
It was a
19 parlay. That's at least a 4-figure payout.
Well, he only put in $10 for it, so
still a little underwhelming for
he
$10.
could have went. He probably could have went
child's play.
That is child's play. But he texted me. He said, "Hey, I need him to get 1 more yard." I said, "Dude, it's 8 minutes. They're going to get the ball back. Don't worry. He's going to get 1 more yard." And he's like, "All right, well then I won't cash out with $66." Well, that was a bad call on my part.
Well, that's what happens when you gamble. So, anyway, boys, it's been a pleasure. We'll look forward to see how things go this week, and you guys can frig off.
Frig off, everybody.
Later.
See you, boys.
See you.